I'm excited to introduce my guest today, Kentucky wrestling referee and historian, Alex Green. And Alex, it's so good to see you on here today. And you've been known not just on a state level, but a national level for what you've done for the sport. And talk about your journey with wrestling and what led you to the passion that you have in it today.
Oh, man, thanks for having me on. It feels good not to talk about a wide right field goal from 2005, but we'll save that for another podcast. I think we need to do a 20-year video on that ourselves. But, man, I grew up, I kind of got the best of both worlds when it comes to wrestling. I'm going to talk about wrestling, professional wrestling, that is, because I was born in 85. I got to grow up watching Saturday morning the superhero characters. You know, I'm talking about your Hogans, your Savages, your Warriors, all that. The villains, your Jake the Snakes, your Big John Studs, had all the action figures, the rings, all that. So to me, I didn't have a brother. All the boys in my neighborhood were 6-7 years older than me at the youngest. So I kind of just at my home, I just kind of kept to myself, stayed in my bedroom, played with my wrestling figures, had my own WrestleMania, had my own Saturday night's main event, and I really kind of just developed an imagination at a very young age for being able to tell a story, being able to present what was in. You know, I could see it in my head. It was just now, let's get it out into a physical form. And I was using, these molded pieces of 6-inch plastic to be like, oh, yeah, let's do this, let's do that. Then I got, how it is, you got a little bit older, and we had Phil a Fan, had on one channel, on WCW, on TNT, you had NWO. That was the coolest thing going. And on the other channel, USA, on Monday Night Raw, you had DX, The Rock, Stone Cold, crotch chops, birds, and words I can't say on YouTube. Get your channel demonetized. And being a 13-year-old, 14-year-old, that really, I was like, man, this is, I want to be like these guys. So, and I will give credit where it's due to the Kentucky wrestling community as a whole. As the sport has grown, we've went from having the middle school and youth state tournament on the same day in the same gym, which we had over here. Of course, if you don't know, I live in Johnson County, but in 2008, we had the middle school and elementary school state tournament in Johnson Central Gym in one day. It was a big crowd, but now we're having to use arenas. Like in 2018 and 19, we were in the Broadbent Arena in Louisville. 2020, 2021, we were at the Pikeville Arena, the Appalachian Wireless Arena. The 2022-2023 season, we had to have the middle school and youth state in Corbin. Now we're back to 2 years in Louisville, and we're talking full. We're talking on the middle school day and the youth day sellouts. Maximum amount of kids per bracket, sellouts. Can't get another person in the building almost. And the wrestling, when I was in school, we didn't have any type of organized youth programs for middle school. We didn't have any type of middle school organized youth programs. It was just the principal, Mr. Trimble, made the announcement. I think it was October, because we can start practice October 15th. I have to look at a calendar to be certain, but it was sometime around October 15th, 1999. They made the announcement on the afternoon before the buses let out. Anybody wishing to compete in wrestling this year, we're having practice this afternoon on the gym, so I had my shorts. I kind of knew it was coming. The coach already kind of hit me up, and that's when my journey started as a 112-pound freshman. Admittedly, I wasn't very good, made it to regions my first year, which back when I wrestled, it was districts, regions, kind of like our basketball and baseball format. Now it's just region, state. So looking at this timeline, I would have made it to the state tournament my first year in. But, like I said, I wasn't the best. I kind of started a little bit too late in the game to be competitive. But when I got out of school, I went over to watch a wrestling meet, just a regular weeknight. It's called a duel. Went over to watch a duel, and they had to get a referee out of West Virginia to come over and referee it. And I was like, I was an 18-year-old kid. I was like, man, I can do this. What? I can do this. So I found out how to sign up, got my license, officiated the rest of that year, and I've been going strong ever since. Been doing it for 21 years. Just finished my 18th season doing varsity events. Finished my second state tournament year. I've done the 2020 boys state tournament, and I've done the first girls state tournament this past year. 2024 girls was our first year. So not only are the number of boys teams growing, but the KHSAA saw a need to adopt the sport of girls wrestling. We have our own boys state tournament, our own girls state tournament, and we're having to have the middle school and youth state tournaments in arenas just as big as the high school state. So the sport of wrestling, the community's been silent too long, man, and that's what I love about it, is being a part, seeing the growth, seeing teams pop up, especially in our end of the state. Just recently, West Carter's come back online. East Carter's got their team. I've been to Greenup County 5 or 6 times. Russell's got a program now. Raceland, Ashland has a program that's been around for a very long time. 2 state champions out of Russell. 1997, Jeremy Chapman at 160 pounds. And then football standout, Grant Kruger in 2016, 195 pounds. 2 state champions there. Boyd County's got a program. Round County's coming online. Lawrence County started their program back. I mean, it's just all over. It's just all over, man. And I love being a part of it. I love seeing the growth, and I love seeing the kids get out on the mats and compete.
And when was it because we were talking earlier, and you kind of knew from the beginning, and I could see it because, the Alex Green, and of course we've known each other for some years now, but the Alex Green in 2014 had the same passion for wrestling as the Alex Green in 2024. And what has it been like when, you see, it seems like every year you'll see a bunch of new wrestling programs, and like you said, now the expansion to girls wrestling as well.
I'm going to quote Coach Jim Matney here for a second. Rest in peace to Coach Matney, longtime coach at Sheldon Clark and Johnson Central. If you're listening to this podcast, chances are you're probably familiar with Coach Matney, but the first year that Johnson made the semi-state on the state championship run there, 2015 to 2021, they were playing the regional championship game in 2015, and he gave the speech, the U Mountain boys, U Mountain kids, and at the end of it, he says, "We are who we are. We're from the hollers, from the small towns. Don't you let anybody come in here, be able to walk out of here thinking they're better people than you are." And, being an Eastern Kentuckian, Tyler, you know what it's like is we're still the butt of the joke of a lot of people across our state, and people that don't really know us. They know us in the abstract. They, see the specials. They see, the poverty or whatever it may be in the state, in the nation, and poor little Kentucky. And that's just not the way it is. Yes, there's people that are less fortunate than others. That's going to be anywhere. But I equate that, man, to the microcosm of wrestling, because whenever I would go to a gym, and I still do this to this day, every gym I go into, no matter how many times I go into it, I always look, have they updated you'll see, and nothing against other sports. I'm not against any sport. I'm just saying, you see, some schools will put up, the huge billboard-sized photos of the regional championship teams, baseball, football, basketball, whatever the sport, soccer, volleyball, and they'll have all over the gym, banners, photos, in the trophy case, maybe the ball they won the game with, the net cut down, whatever. And then you know that school also has wrestling and know that they have state champions, individual state champions, and there's no mention. There's no mention anywhere in the gym. You look in the trophy case, there might be an old dusty plaque from whatever year that just says state champion, X year, X weight, and that's it. And you're like, for me, I'm just like, I'm not against any other sport, but wrestling is my sport. And daggone it, don't you let anybody be able to walk out of here thinking they're better people than you are, is my motto for making sure that wrestling is on Front Street. We're on Main Street. We're in Times Square. We are not going to be hid in a gym. We're not going to be the lowest on the totem pole here, because if you've ever been in a mat room, if you've ever had to cut pounds, wake up at 3 o'clock before a meet, go run, whatever it is, and know the struggles, not just what you're going through, but every other wrestler across the state, across the country goes through during the sport or during the season, knowing that you don't get the big crowds like basketball does, you don't get the Friday night lights like football does, you don't get the big send-offs to state tournaments like basketball, baseball, football teams do. You might get, some parents or something following you down or whatever. But I've always had the passion to make sure to look at the trophy case, look at the walls of a gym. Do they have wrestling? Okay, yes, I'm here at a wrestling meet. Coach, does your team have state champions? Yeah. Where's your banner? Where's your plaque? Where's your photos? Well, we got them in our wrestling room. No, they need to be visible. And that's why I'm so passionate about, like you said, the Alex Green of the Alex Green of 2024 is the Alex Green of 2004 in my, first official year of getting to officiate. So 20 years, man, I've been on the grind to make sure. It's too bad that YouTube and Facebook and all this social media didn't exist then, because I would have guaranteed you I would have done my best to be promoting it like I am now back then.
Yeah, and let's talk a little bit about the history of it, because I know that you compiled a lot of older matches that thankfully now we'll have on record. And what are some items that you're looking for when it comes to some of the historical matches?
Yeah, man. We, which we'll talk a little bit about this get to the YouTube channel, but Kentucky wrestling started without the KHSAA. And for the youngsters listening to this, we had to use these things called magazines way back, even just a couple years ago. So ask your parents or your guardians about what a magazine is. But the KHSAA put out a magazine monthly back. The earliest, I believe, on record is like 1930s. Well, when I say a magazine, it was a black and white publication, and over time it kind of picked up some steam. But in 1959, Kentucky, there were some high schools got together. It's like, hey, let's have our own state tournament. Let's award individual champions. And the earliest that it goes back is 59. Well, in 1963, the KHSAA commissioned 4 people to be on a board. One of them was Mr. Orville Williams from Louisville. He's considered the father of Kentucky wrestling because he's the one that organized state tournament manager for all these years. And he got it going. The first state tournament was held in February 1964 at Louisville Seneca High School. There was 10 teams present. And it basically just took off from there. Schools started adding it. Different parts of the state started adopting it. And it took it a while to get to Eastern Kentucky. The first state champion, what I consider the first state champion east of Lexington, was a gentleman named Clipson Jones from Belfry. in 1974, and like I mentioned, Coach Jim Matney was on that team with Clifton. But Clifton was the first state champion east of Lexington, and it's great to have that history to go back and say, okay, we have the brackets, we have the names, we have all this. The earliest medal that we have is from the actual first 3 state wrestling tournaments. We have individual medals. I have photos of those on my Facebook page, and I've done videos on them. We have a 3rd place medal from 1964, a championship medal from 1965, and a championship medal from 1966. And we also have been able to locate the team state championship trophy from 1964 and 1965. So people have really started digging. They started looking, and I'm glad to say that the what we've been doing with our YouTube channel, and like I said, we'll talk about that here in a minute. But I love being able to say that we've brought trophy cases to life. We've brought history into everybody's living room. We've brought it into their pockets. They can pull it up anywhere and be able to see. Some schools really have, they've adopted wrestling. Your Union Counties, your Woodfords, your Johnson Centrals, your Sheldon Clark's back when it was Sheldon Clark, now Martin County, just Christian County. I've been all over. And when I say this, I'm not exaggerating. I've been from the furthest tip in Pike County at Belfry all the way up to Hopkinsville, which is almost at the Mississippi River, to all of our northern Kentucky friends, Boone, Kenton Campbell, all the way down to Wayne, Louisville, Lexington, Woodford, you name it. I've been there doing videos. And it's great because with our YouTube series, we've been able to bridge the generational gaps. We've been able to bond that bridge, as Ryan Lemons would say, bond that bridge, so to speak, the geographical gaps in our state. It's not just Eastern Kentucky. It's not just Lexington specific, Northern Kentucky, Western Kentucky, whatever. It's the entire Commonwealth. It's the entire 120 counties. And the wrestling community has really rallied around what we've been able to do. We started the series in January of 22, and we've started doing our review videos. And so far, there's been 61 years of the state tournament. We have 33 complete years. That's every match at the state finals. We have 5 partial videos. I consider a partial to be more than 8 matches. We don't have it complete, but we've got more than 8. And then we have 1 highlight video. So in all, we have 39 of the 61 years. And so far, we've done 315 review videos for our channel. And it's just been the history, the photos that people's dug out, the memorabilia, the Letterman jackets, the rings, the medals, you name it, Tyler, man, we've been able to dig it up. And people have said, they had to reconnect with family. They had to reach back out to people they were on teams with. Now they're friends. Now, they got family trips to Kings Island planned, or they've got families. Like I was invited up to Campbell County. Campbell County has a really great program for team state championships. 29, I believe it is, individual state champions. And they actually, because of the series, they actually created a Facebook group and had a barbecue night. They invited me up. We've done some review videos there. Some of the people from early teams in the 60s were there to the recent, team members that are there now. Jacob Holbrook done an excellent job with that. And I was like, man, it's great to mean something, not just to a person, but to mean something to a community, to be a face, a voice, a personality that a community like the Kentucky wrestling community can latch their wagon to, and other states can look at it and they can say, why aren't we more like Kentucky? Why aren't we doing more what this guy's doing in Kentucky? Why are we so far behind? Look at where Kentucky is. We're not even close to what they are. And I love being able to say that, man, we're leading the pack. No other way to say it. We are Kentucky wrestling, man. We're on top, and ain't nobody close to us right now.
Yeah, and let's talk a little bit about your YouTube channel. How did that get started? Because I mean, it's I believe the nation's leading wrestling channel.
You are correct. And earlier you mentioned, and I was waiting to drop this on you. Known statewide, known nationwide. There's actually, I could say, internationally known. There's a 1996 Olympian from Belarus in Greco-Roman wrestling. He actually has a wrestling supply company, like throwing dummies, weighted dummies, that kind of stuff. And he actually reached out to me on Instagram back during COVID. He found my channel and was like, "I like what you're doing. This is great for the sport. Carry on." I was like, "Well, it's good that Olympic wrestler has seen what we're doing." But when I started officiating, I had nobody. There was not one single person refereeing that I could go to and say, "Hey, how do I do this? Hey, tell me the rules." I had the rule book, and that's what I tell new referees is, let me teach you how to officiate first, then we'll teach you the rules. Let me teach you how to officiate, then we'll teach you the rules. And I didn't have that. And I've heard so many people, whether it's athletes, musicians, singers, whatever, whoever it may be, people that's made it, and people that are, it's hard to say those that don't help aren't good people, but you can tell when somebody is like really trying to get the next batch. Hey, you put your time in. Hey, let me show you how to get where I'm at. I had nobody. I had nobody to show me. There wasn't any referees close. If it hadn't been for Jim Matney and Darren Gamble letting me come over and just watch practice and officiate, like wrestle off. If you're familiar with the movie Vision Quest, you wrestle off for your varsity spot every week. Go over referee wrestle offs. Have Darren help me with some rules. Matney help me with some rules. I would have been more than a lost ball in high weeds. And I started doing the rules of high school wrestling December 2018, and I've done the sport was growing everywhere I was going. I was having parents and new coaches kind of be a little hostile, and I was getting the picture that they just didn't know the rules. They just didn't know what they were talking about. They got bad information from somebody that got bad information from somebody that got bad information in 1996, and nobody ever corrected them. So I was like, man, I need to do a YouTube series. I need to make my own channel of the rules of high school wrestling. So I went to different schools. I went to Pike Central, Pikeville, Prestonsburg, Sheldon Clark, Johnson, Letcher County Central. I went all over the place doing videos because I wanted people to feel like this wasn't just me doing it. It was a communal effort. And I started doing the series. I started having people reach out from all over the country. Hey, could you do a video on this? Could you do a video on that? Hey, what about this rule? And I was like, all right, well, at least I've got an audience. People are watching. And I really kind of made a name for myself then. The Kentucky Wrestling Officials Association, which I'm a member of, the regional president for our end of the state, they were like, hey, let's use these for training. Let's use these for, make a playlist. So I went through and made a playlist. New referees, of course, watched it. And I kept on adding to it. And everywhere I'd go, people would come up, hey, man, thanks for telling us. We never knew this rule about this, or we never knew, this was even a rule or whatever. And when Coach Matney passed away, in September 21, we were there at his funeral, and a good friend of mine, Josh Muncie, he's the head football and wrestling coach at Martin County. He's a state champion for Matney at Sheldon Clark in 2001, captain of the football team, the whole nines. And Josh's son at the time was probably about 8 years old, 7 years old, whatever. And another state champion from Sheldon Clark named Billy Clark posted like 5 or 6 of the Sheldon Clark videos from state championships years past on his channel, just an old VHS, shoulder mount camcorder. And I went to Josh, and it was like, if you've seen the movie The Invention of Lying with Ricky Gervais, when he's at the bank trying to withdraw money, and that little electrical charge goes back through his brain, and he gets that idea. That's how I felt doing the review series. So I went to him, I was like, Josh, man, I have this idea. What would you think if during wrestling season we do like a 20-year review video about your state championship? He's like, bro, I'm in. Let's do it. I'm in, 100%. So we went over, had a wrestling meet, we filmed it, and I knew while we were filming it, I could feel it, man. I'm sure you're the same way when you do a podcast or you do an interview or you're watching the game. This is going to be special. This is going to be something that is going to be special. And I put it out a couple of days later. As soon as I put it out, I had so many people, oh, my God, do you have this year? Do you have 1994? Do you have, 1987? What about this person? Oh, my God, you got to get with this guy. And I was like, I've hit it. I knew then that I'd found my calling with the YouTube channel doing the review series. And, man, we've interviewed, like I said, 315 people. We've made a compilation video of the most outstanding wrestlers, the team state champions, which no other sport in Kentucky has as easily accessible as what is on my YouTube channel. They might be, in theory, yes, every most outstanding basketball player, a photo exists, maybe a clip of them playing, same thing with a team. But with my channel and what we've been able to do, you can go start from the first state tournament until present and look at every single team state champion, every single most outstanding wrestler, watch a little clip of them wrestling, the ones that we have video footage for, and you're like, they played them at one of the regional tournaments this year before they started. People were sending me photos of it. And that's what it's all about, man, is just growing the sport. I want to do my part to make sure that this sport grows. And people are saying, why aren't we doing more like Kentucky's doing? I love to hear that sentiment about what we've been able to accomplish, because you don't hear that too much outside of maybe horse racing, bourbon, fried chicken, is why aren't we doing more what Kentucky's doing? Why aren't we doing more what this guy in Kentucky's doing? And I love being able to say that our channel, man, is leading the charge on that.
That's amazing. And where can someone find this channel to look at?
It's the channel it's called Alex Green Different Breed. That's common spelling of the word green. Alex Green Different Breed. You can type in on your Google search, your YouTube, Alex Green Different Breed. My logo is a G.I. Joe. If you're familiar with the old 1980s cartoon or toys, G.I. Joe. It's got my name, Alex Green Different Breed. That's my logo on all my social media. I brand all my thumbnails with it. That way everybody knows it's a true, genuine product. We just want to let everybody know that it's a family-friendly channel. You're not going to have to worry about hitting the mute button. You're not going to have to worry about saying, you can't watch this video or that video, worry about the content. Everything is something that you could show to a church group, if that's your thing, a youth group, a youth wrestling camp, whatever it may be, your family. There's not going to be any having to, be worrying about what's going to be said or anything like that. The material's 100% family friendly, 100% presentation friendly. We tell everybody, man, we just want to put our best foot forward and give them, their family, classmates, teammates, whoever it may be, the best light for them to shine. Because, Tyler, man, having lived it, having been out and meeting people in person on Zoom or whatever, the number of people that have said, my kids have never saw me wrestle. My wife has never saw me wrestle. Whoever, pick whoever it may be, whatever family or friend, just about everybody has said something to that effect, that people that are close to him now never got to see him wrestle. And you're like, I'm glad I'm able to give this family or these, these friends, whoever it may be, the ability to watch their dad, their brother, their uncle, their grandpa, their whoever they are to them. And the number of memorial videos that we've done for gentlemen that have passed on, or now I couldn't tell you the number of living rooms I've sat in where people's families have come over because they know that we've got the video. I'm not saying they're coming for me. I mean, if they are, that's great. But they're coming to see whoever we're there to interview. They're coming to watch that video. But it's great to give that family an excitement. It's great for them to be able to put them back in that moment from whatever year it may be, 92, 87, 81, 2015, whatever year it is that they wrestled, and you're just like, this is why I do this. This is why that I'm traveling, I'm editing these, hour-plus long videos, I'm doing all this research, is to make sure that their family, their friends can have this forever. And it may not be all of their life. They may not go around always wearing their Letterman jackets, their state championship medals, their rings, or whatever. But at least they can say, this was a part of my life, and I'm proud of it. And this is the platform, this is the medium now that we have for this part of my life to be publicized. And Alex done a phenomenal job with it. And I love, hearing that and hearing the stories of family time, holiday time. I couldn't tell you the number of people that send me photos of them watching videos at Christmas, Thanksgiving, birthdays, whatever, of just sit down, put on a video of somebody they went to school with or somebody in their family. And I'm like, man, that right there is, I didn't see that type of popularity coming, but I'm more than happy to embrace it.
Nice. And Alex, just to get to know you a little bit better, what's a cool fact about yourself? Something not a lot of people know.
Man, that's a phenomenal question. I've always been creative. I grew up, listening to your Weird Al Yankovics, your Cleus T. Judds, and always been able to maybe not necessarily on the fly, but if I have a few minutes or if I can write it down or get a hum, be able to make up a song or like a little ditty or something. There was a professional comedian. He I don't know if he still does it or not, but at one time he was a referee in West Virginia, and just on some of my my rule videos, just the way I would say things, just the way I would deliver things. He kind of watched some of the videos. He reached out and said, "Hey, I'm a professional comedian. I think what you're doing is really entertaining. By the way, where did you go to drama school?" And I'm like, I never have. He's like, "Man, your delivery, your comedic timing, the way you say things, you mean you've never had any type of formal comedic training?" And I'm like, "No, man, it's just me. When I know what I'm talking about and I've got the idea, man, I feel like I'm in the 0.001% of feeling at home talking about what I know I'm good at."
That's awesome. And growing up, who was your favorite? Shifting it to the professional wrestling, now I guess they call it sports entertainment, but who would have been your favorite wrestler growing up?
Man, the word favorite is kind of hard for me to use a wrestling analogy to pin down, because as I've gotten older and people like Jim Cornette, your Bruce Pritchards, your Eric Bischoffs, your Jim Rosses, they've done these podcasts. Not everybody now has got a podcast just about old school professional wrestling. But you look at, just because somebody may have been, the champion or had the belt on them or whatever, doing the media rounds, doesn't necessarily mean that's who the fans were going to pay money to see. And I know as a kid, if I wanted to buy, when I got older, of course, 11, 12, 13, if I wanted a new action figure, if I wanted a new wrestling ring, a new shirt, Mom and Dad was like, cut the grass. I lived in a neighborhood. There was some people that paid me to go out, cut some grass, weed eat. Let's go. Mm-hmm. You want it, you're going to have to go out and pay for it. And I know as a kid, I would always buy the newest Undertaker figures. Always. And to me, he always just had like that drawing appeal of, he may not have been the champion, but he didn't need to be the champion. He was such a great character. His presentation was such that you're like, okay, this is a big deal. This is who we paid to see. And I couldn't tell you the number of times like I say, got older, got my own money. Dad would take me down. Him and me, we'd always go together. Huntington Civic Center, Monday Night Raw, the wrestlings, Charleston, Lexington. Anytime they were close, we would go. But I always had to, Dad would take me. He's like, if you're going to go, you're going to have to earn the money. And so I'd have to say it's The Undertaker, because I would pay money to see him. And, man, that is such a great question that you asked me about that, because the way I do the videos, the content that we bring out, the research, the artifacts, kind of like with your channel, man, but I have the mentality of, would somebody pay money to watch these videos? Would somebody buy a ticket to get in the arena to watch The Undertaker compete in a scripted ballet session, if you will? Yes. He sold arenas out. Would people pay money to watch Hulk Hogan, Ultimate, whoever it may be? They're not paying to see, the Brooklyn Brawler or Duke the Dumpster Drozy. No, you're paying to see Hulk Hogan. You're paying to see The Undertaker. You're paying to see these draws. And that's the way I do my videos, man, is would somebody pay money to see what we're doing, to see one of these videos? And I'm glad to say that the old school professional wrestling so ingrained in me that I was doing that before I even realized what I was doing. I didn't realize that I had such a primal instinct, if you will, to create a product that it was like a pay-per-view. Even though the channel's free, would somebody pay money to watch this? Would somebody buy a ticket to watch this? And I love being able to say, yeah, man, I love being able to people know this is a free channel, but the content that you're getting, you could pay for it and well get your money's worth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and last question for you, Alex. Any shout-outs you'd like to give?
Man, is this called the Wide Right Field Goal Podcast? Am I right about that? Is that pretty close? If not, if it's not, it should be. If it's not, you missed a great opportunity to name it this. Man, no, thank you for having me on, bro. Like I said, we've been friends for a pretty good while. I'd say probably going on 16, 17 years. You were there the night that Johnson Central won the 2019 state championship against Boyle County. We sat right beside each other.
Yeah,
that was a special night. It truly was, and just having you on. Of course, I follow you on all your socials, and what you're doing, all your interviews. Are you like looking to take over Brad Nessler's spot when he retires, or Kirk Herbstreit? Is that the goal? I mean, you're doing some NCAA Division 2 work. Is that correct?
Yeah, I've called some games I've called games at West Virginia State.
That's what I thought. I knew it was
wrestling
something.
too.
Mm-hmm. Actually, is that in Charleston there?
It is. It's in a small town called Institute, but it's just a few miles away.
I think, man, because I won a jiu-jitsu tournament in Cincinnati in 2015 called NAGA, North American Grappling Association. Then I won my division in at West Virginia State in 2017. I competed in absolute and come in second place in that. But, yeah, I think that I competed in a tournament at West Virginia State's gym, if I'm not mistaken. But, yeah, man, just a shout-out to you, everything you're doing. It's I've seen you do My Town TV. You know, you're the man. You need to get My Town TV and do a live event there for wrestling. I may even step off the mat and join you for some commentary for that one. I'd love to have you down. But just the Kentucky wrestling community as a whole, man, I've got so many friends that I've met, so many schools that I've met, Hopkinsville to Pike County, Covington at the river, all the way down to Wayne County, everywhere in between, Johnson, Woodford, St. Xavier, Trinity, Fern Creek, you name it. I've got friends. And if it's a school that's got wrestling, Union County, if they have wrestling, I've got somebody's phone number that I could directly call. I've got them on Facebook. I've got so many connections to the state, and it's just a great thing. Man, on our channel, we've got David Carr. He's now a two-time NCAA champion. Probably wow. He didn't make the Olympics. He wrestled 1 year at Woodford County as an 8th grader, and was at Woodford County High School State. And he went to Ohio, become a 4-time state champion. Now he's 2-time at Iowa State. David Carr. He's probably going to be on the Olympic squad in 2028. So we're really proud of David. I've got his number. His dad, Nate Carr, is an Olympian bronze medal in 88 games, 3-time national champion at Iowa State. I mean, just so many people. Dominic Black. We could go on and on with the names, but what I'm getting at, man, is Kentucky wrestling has been hid for far too long, and I love being the person that's bringing this history to life. I've loved being the person that has done the research, that's made the efforts, and now the state, the nation, the world can see what we've been sitting on for a long time, man, because there's been some great wrestling in Kentucky. It's just been hid. It's just been not so easily accessible, and now, man, it's not that way. And before, you let me go here on this, we're also been able to bring out a lot of history about the University of Kentucky wrestling. People didn't know that the University of Kentucky had a very successful wrestling program in the 70s and 80s. They had 2 SEC team champions in 1976 and 1977. I believe the total number is 13. I could be mistaken about that, but I think Kentucky ended up with 13 SEC individual champions throughout the years. I think 5 is the number. It's either 5 or 6 NCAA Division I All-Americans, with Joe Carr Sr. Being the crown jewel. After he graduated, Joe come back, was a coach with his brother Fletcher. Man, they were building a dynasty here. They really were. And then, Title IX come along in the 80s, and Kentucky decided to drop the program. But just the fact that people didn't even know Kentucky had a program, let alone knowing 2-time SEC team champions and all these individual champions, I love being able to get that history out as well, because you got to think, man, in 76 and 77, basketball was rolling, and, you had Jack Givens, Kyle Macy, Rick Roby, all these guys at UK, but the wrestling team gets forgot about all their championships because of what basketball done. And this is not me knocking the 78 team. I'm just saying, bringing it to light. And I've called into Kentucky Sports Radio, made that known. They didn't. I think they're going to do a piece on it when they get some better information on it. So it's just great, man, that we're able to just, shine the light of Kentucky wrestling and let the world see, man. We got some good scrappers in this state. We really do.
We do. Yeah, we do. And Yeah, that's definitely enjoy having you on, Alex. And
Yeah,
we
man.
want to say keep up. Yeah.
And if you're interested in becoming an official, if you're interested in getting your kids into a program, the officiating, you can find me. Tyler's going to link my YouTube channel in the description of the video. All my socials are easy to find. Alex Green. All my socials have the G.I. Joe mock-up logo with my name, and I'm easy to contact. Don't want to put my number out there, but it's easy to find if you need to get up with me. It's if you're interested in becoming an official, love to have you. We're not going to throw you out into the hot water or in deep water or whatever analogy you want to use. We're going to make sure you kind of know what you're doing, get some JV, maybe some youth meets under your belt with some supervision, then kind of start letting you get out there, hit the mats. The KHSAA website, khsea.org, the official login or the official tab. You got to do the test, of course. But if you have any questions, reach out to me. If you're listening to this and you want to get your kid into wrestling, there's some great programs not just in our area. Tyler is an Ashland guy. I'm in Johnson County. The Ashland area wrestling club, they have a great, Butch does a good job with that. Boyd County, Clayton does a good job with Boyd County's high school team and their youth. Greenup's got a great youth program. Lawrence County, Russell, Raceland, West Carter, East Carter, you name it. If I'm leaving somebody out, Lawrence County, Johnson County, I apologize, but that's just on top of Martin County, Paintsville. It's great to see it, but don't just throw your kid out there in a meet and expect them to be, Kurt Angle or Dan Gable. They're going to take some losses. They're probably going to get their nose busted. They're probably going to have a busted lip the first couple times. It happens. It's part of the sport. Just make sure that you know their emotional state. Make sure that you know when to remove them. That's what I tell all the coaches at youth meets is you know your kids better than we do. If you know they're about to lose control of their emotions, be the parent, be the guardian, be the coach. Let's remove this youngster, whether it's a boy or girl, from the gym area, and let's let them calm down, come back in, maybe try it a little bit later. Maybe they need to leave the gym area and come back to on another day, because we don't want them to do something that's going to embarrass them or hurt another kid purposely. So just be mindful of your kids and what you think they can put up with if they're getting into wrestling, and understand it's a competitive sport. A lot of kids now, by the time they get into high school, they've been wrestling 7-8 years. I mean, they're starting. The youngest division that we have is 4U, so we got 3 and 4-year-olds out there wrestling around on the mat, and if they stick with it, man, by the time they get to high school, that's a long time. That's a long time on the mat, going to camps, going to meets, going to tournaments, going to having seasons, all this kind of stuff. And the level of wrestling in Kentucky is so much better than what it was even in 10, 15 years ago to what it is now. We had some national, all-star teams go to Virginia Beach, Iowa, a couple places, and they've really, really, really represented themselves very well. Second place in some duels, some national champions. It's great to see not just having great in-state talent, but they can go out of state as well and let them know Kentucky's on the scene. So if you're interested, just find a good youth program. If you have questions, need guidance, just reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to guide you in the right direction. But Tyler, man, again, just thanks for having me on, bro. I really, really appreciate it. Now I got to get you on my YouTube channel, and we can review a match from. We pick out one of the Ashland matches and watch it.
That would be fun to do sometime. Definitely. Well, Alex, I want to say thank you for coming on. And, yeah, be sure to check out, again, Alex Green, Different Breed, the channel.
That's it.
A lot of good things, from officiating to advice to match reviews. And we want to say thank you for tuning in and listening to this episode of the Player Spotlight, I'm Tyler Rowland. God bless you, and see you soon.